pursuit of your success.
Let's talk. JN Fund Managers, your safer, smarter financial partner.
A wonderful morning once again, and you're now invited to listen to Your Goals Realized, and it begins now, which means I have with me for the next few minutes the ladies from JN Fund Managers. Good morning, Dolores Jones and Haley Crosdale. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Nadine.
Good morning to you, Nadine, and good morning to our Love 101 and the JN Fund Managers family. Another day for which we are eternally grateful for life and to be here sharing out with you on Your Goals Realized. We really look forward to sharing the advice on financial planning each week.
All right, so last week we started an interesting topic, the groundwork for goal attainment, and our goal was owning a home.
Right.
Yes.
And we're going to complete these discussions this morning, Nadine, but not before I do my usual greeting to our regular listener. Good morning to you, the fabulous Felicia Beckford, a budding entrepreneur. May all that you touch prosper, Felicia, and keep your goals being smart as usual. So let's remind our listeners of where we were. Last Tuesday, Haley shared with us the importance of ensuring that we are financially prepared for the major undertaking of home ownership. And you'll remember that we spoke of the value of becoming pre-qualified by your mortgage provider. And of course, we recommend Jamaica National. Haley then took us through the steps of applying for a mortgage.
And I was on the board of getting my keys.
Oh, yes, sure. I'm sure many Love 101 listeners were right there with you, Nadine. However, we still have some more info to share before we get those keys. So, Haley, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dolores, and good morning, everybody. How are you doing this morning? So I'm going to jump right in, and we're going to try to recapture the excitement of where we were last week on the brink of home ownership.
Yes.
So it's a big responsibility, but we know it's more than worth the effort than to get it done properly. So we're about to go through the documents that we will need to take us through the interview of the mortgage. So here are the list of documents, and I will discuss a little about them as some of them that are necessary, or as necessary. First, we need our sale agreement. So now we've found the house, we have negotiated with the vendor, we are now going to enter into this sale agreement.
Sale agreement, okay.
We advise that you seek the assistance of an attorney at law because this is a legal process.
Okay.
We don't want to have anything, an agreement here with somebody, just a verbal agreement or something on writing. But then remember, we have other legal processes to go through, the registration of the title and so forth. So seek the help of an attorney at law. Then another document we need is a photocopy of the certificate of title. So this should also be ready, not the actual title, but a copy of it. It should be showing who the vendor is and should be the same or somewhat the same, especially if it's not a property that is willed, and that name has been passed on. But it should show the person that you're buying the property from.
Okay.
A valuation report on the property. Now, this is very important because this will show us the value of the property and also insurance valuation as well as a forced sale cost in the event that there's need to be a sale of the property eventually. A commissioned land surveyor's report. Now, last week we spoke about the breaches that may be on that covenant. Let's say, for instance, a wall may be built too close to your neighbor, or your hedges may be too high, or your gate may be opened in a way that is not noted on the covenant or on the title.
Right.
So a land surveyor will identify.
We'll look through all of that.
That is correct.
They have the eye to pick that up.
They have the eye, and these things are also noted on the title, but then they will make the necessary recommendation or notes on it. Up-to-date property tax certificate. Now, remember, the government is on a drive for us to update our property taxes, and we can't go through that mortgage process without an up-to-date property tax certificate. Then the regular things such as your income verification, your last 2 payslips, your proof of age through your passport, your driver's license, or your voter's registration card, your NHT contribution letter from your employer, or if you're self-employed, that NHT self-employed contribution letter from the NHT. your TRN. Remember, that's a valid and an important document that we need
Right.
to conduct business in Jamaica. Your NIS card, a written confirmation if there are any existing loans, because remember, we're looking at your total debt service
Right.
ratio. And closing costs for the mortgage. Now, this is approximately 5 to 6% of the loan amount that you're applying for. And if you're self-employed, we're not forgetting our self-employed persons, an income statement is needed. So those are the documents that we will need, Nadine.
An income statement.
Right.
All right. So if people are serious about home ownership, even as we are identifying, the suitable home that they want, we would have started gathering the documents together. If you're listening to the program, then you would know what to be putting together. Regulations are regulations, and mortgage provider would have a good reason for requiring
That's
each
correct.
document.
That is
Because
correct.
you don't want to start and then you end up having to stop and say, oh yeah, I forgot that, so I have to go back and So gathering them early is as important as finding the home we like and we can afford.
And you're on point as usual,
Yes.
Nadine. Yes. But we would most likely have some of these documents already in our possession. For example, the TRN and the NIS card and your
Right.
ID. So a word of warning, though. Make sure you have them stored safely and can access them easily when you're ready to book your appointment.
Okay.
The list I shared with you may look long, but as I mentioned, you may already have some of these items, so you just need to put them all together and prepare for the interview. So also, most people find that the most difficult part of owning the home is obtaining the deposit. And we try to advise you to try your best not to take out a loan, as I'd said last week, for the deposit, as you put yourself in further debt, and this also decreases your chances of qualifying for the mortgage. Remember, your TDSR, that's your total debt service ratio, should not exceed 40% of the income.
So house poor, that term, which describes people who buy homes outside of them reach. I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses and end up with a lovely home, but they can't handle it, handle the financial responsibilities or properly maintain the house. What happened to them?
Well, if they work with their mortgage provider, that won't happen. For example, Jamaica National, we want you to succeed in the dream of that home ownership, and we'll go the extra mile to ensure that you actualize the dream and that you enjoy your home and your life after you take that big step, because it is a big step.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Haley is correct. On the most difficult part is usually to accumulate the deposit. And that's where the JNFM Financial Advisory Team come in. As your financial partner, we'll sit with you and discuss your circumstances and aspirations and help you to work out that strategy to actualize your dream of home ownership. Last week, I promised that we'd look at some strategies, and let's go right in the conversation. All right, so before we actually talk about the investment vehicles, I am going to share with you some tips of starting. So we spoke a couple programs ago about the budgeting process. So by now, persons would have actually started to really set up and use their budget and have started the belt tightening process. So in addition to that, Nadine, let's look at some other saving tips.
Okay.
So if your boss, for example, says to you, the company is going through a problem, so I have two options for you. One is I am going to reduce all salaries
Salary,
by
right.
20%, or alternately, I'm going to make 50% of the staff redundant. I'm sure a lot of our listeners would opt to the 20% reduction. So this 20% that we're talking about, consider it as the first start. So we're going to actually put an automatic pilot process in where 20% of our salary, we're going to send it directly to an account each month. Then we also need to look at downsizing. A lot of us are in houses that we're paying rent for, but let's face it, do we really need that amount of space? Rent takes a large chunk out of your salary. So evaluate the space that you have, because remember, you're on a mission, and you're on a mission to buy your own house. So If you really don't need that space, look at downsizing. Or if downsizing is not an option, look at getting probably a roommate, a university student. Just finding ways. And downsizing goes further into even looking at the motor car that you have now. Do you really need this SUV at the time when you're on a mission?
Right.
So let's look at some serious ways to accumulate funds that we're going to be putting aside. And next week, we're going to look at some options for investing these funds. I know a lot of us would have heard about the CDs, the repos, the different government instruments. But in essence, the first process is to start accumulating those funds.
All right. We had a break last week from homework. Are we going there again this week?
Next week, Nadine, we're going to take a broad look approach at goal actualization through the process of financial planning. So be it a house, a car, or any goal, it's usually the same process. So we're going to really look at how to achieve our goals using the process that we have started to share in the last program.
All right. Haley?
So, in wrapping up, I'd just like to I'd like for our listeners, to reach out to us by sending the text messages to 877-2612 or email us at jnfundmanagers@jnbs.com or contact us through our website www.jnfunds.com. And if you wish to listen to this program or previous programs in this series, please visit the JN Fund Managers Facebook page, and the programs are posted there. And again, please don't forget to like our Facebook page when you visit.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here today, Dolores and Haley. And God willing, next week we'll come again and we'll talk some more inside the program Your Goals Realized, brought to you by JN Fund Managers Limited. This is Love 101.
Relationships that build wealth, create opportunities, the right solutions. That's what we do at JN Fund Managers.
We're in pursuit of your financial security.
Portfolio and investment management services for individuals and corporate clients, from wealth building and risk management to preparing for a comfortable retirement. Strong, stable, secure.
We're in pursuit of your success.
Let's talk. JN Fund Managers, your safer, smarter financial partner.
I am a man, I am man.
Monday
I'm Kevin Bailey.
And I'm Courtney Morrison.
Next week inside the mailbox, we want to find out, does smoking ever benefit men?
And inside our favorite folders, men who insist that their wives work.
And what's up in junk mail? Men who court married women.
That's the mailbox, Wednesday, March 18th at 5:30 p.m. on Love 101.
The family station.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man.